All right, guys. So this might be a story that is kind of flying under the radar because of all of Donald Trump's nominations to his cabinet. But Polymarket, remember the betting website Polymarket? It made headlines because it was predicting Donald Trump winning way above Kamala Harris, and then it started to dip. Kamala Harris went up for a little bit, and then it flip-flopped once again, and Donald Trump ended up winning, completely sweeping the United States. If you look, this is the website right here, of course. This is the graph. If you look throughout time, we have Kamala Harris crossing over Donald Trump right here and right here until about right here when Donald Trump ended up taking a resounding lead. But now, the founder of Polymarket, or the CEO of Polymarket, has had his phone and electronics seized by the FBI after his betting platform predicts Trump's win. So I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that his platform just predicted the election too well. And the FBI is like, we can't have that. We cannot have the public knowing what is going on. But it's kind of interesting, too, because the CEO of Polymarket was actually a donor to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. So I guess he just didn't play the game the way they wanted him to play it. But let's look at this. FBI agents raided the Manhattan apartment of Polymarket CEO Shane Copeland early Wednesday morning, just a week after the election betting platform successfully predicted Donald Trump's stunning victory. The 26-year-old entrepreneur was roused from bed in his Soho pad at 6 a.m. by U.S. law enforcement who demanded he turn over his phone and other electronic devices. Here is the CEO right here. He definitely looks like a white dude for Harris. I remember going through the predictions on Polymarket. I was like, man, this is kind of like a whole new world. This is kind of like the brave new world. You're looking at, the polls. You're looking at the predictions by your run-of-the-mill pollsters, and they're saying one thing, right? They're saying, oh, this is such a close race. Donald Trump is up by 1% here. He's barely up here. And then you look at Polymarket, and it tells a completely different story. The margins are way bigger on Polymarket. And at the time, people made the argument that, polls are one thing. Pollster, they call you up, they ask you a question, you can say yay or nay, right? A bet, the betting market, Polymarket, is a completely different thing. You are actually putting your money where your mouth is. So therefore, the idea was it would be a better predictor of who was ahead in the actual election, who was actually ahead at the time. But the article goes on to say it's grand political theater at its worst, the source told New York Post. They could have asked his lawyer for any of these things. Instead, they staged a so-called raid so they can leak it to the media and use it for obvious political reasons. Copeland was not provided with a reason for the raid, but the source suspects it was political retribution against Polymarket, accurately predicted an easy Trump triumph over Vice President Kamala Harris, as opposed to traditional polls. The source also speculated that the government is likely piggybacking off liberal media reports that accuse Polymarket of market manipulation and rigging its polls in favor of Donald Trump. Quote, this is obvious political retribution by the outgoing administration against Polymarket for providing a market that correctly called the 2024 presidential election. Copeland was not arrested and has not been charged, said a Polymarket spokesperson. Polymarket is a fully transparent prediction market that helps everyday people better understand the events that matter most to them, including elections. We charge no fees, take no trading positions, and allow observers from around the world to analyze all market data as a public good. The FBI did not immediately respond for a request for comment. And I actually saw this tweet earlier, and I did not know that this was the context of the tweet at the time. It was tweeted out by an account on X that I follow, and he retweeted this from Polymarket CEO. Copeland posted on X after his run-in with the feds, quote, new phone, who dis? So a little bit of a jab at the FBI. I mean, these types of games, of course, are things that we've gotten used to from a Biden-Harris administration. Low blows. I mean, you look at his history. He's literally a Kamala donor, okay? But of course, entrepreneurs, even if they have a political ideology, support a political candidate, good entrepreneurs are going to be like, you know what? Maybe we should just tell the truth instead of trying to skew it to one side or another. And that really clearly seems to be this case, where this guy, he just allowed the data to speak for itself. Polymarket does not allow trading in the US, though bettors can bypass the ban by accessing the site through a VPN. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. So that's not good. So if you bet on Polymarket using a VPN, the FBI might have some information on you. I don't want to scare anybody, but that is a possibility. I don't know how much data they are getting from his phone, but I know there are probably a lot of people in the US that bet through a VPN. I wanted to bet on the election, but I couldn't. I'm not in a state that allows it. And I was like, using a VPN sounds kind of sketchy. I'm going to sit this one out. And after the election, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, man, Donald Trump won by a lot. I figured he would, but at the same time, there was always that kind of wild card in there. What are the Democrats going to do? You know, the vertical graph votes and all of that. So that was sufficient enough for me and not to go through that step of using the VPN. And I'm kind of glad I didn't now. The FBI's investigation comes a week after Copland said Polymarket is planning to return to the U.S. The platform, which showed Trump with a 58.6% chance of winning that morning before Election Day, and Vice President Kamala Harris odds were at 41.4, has also been linked to Trump and his allies. Okay. Billionaire Trump supporter Peter Thiel raised about $70 million in funding for Polymarket, according to a Forbes report earlier this year. Copland has also been photographed looking chummy with Donald Trump Jr. In 2022, the online gambling platform was forced to pause its trading in the U.S. and pay a $1.4 million penalty to settle charges with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission that it had failed to register with the agency. Since then, the platform has only been available for bettors in other countries. After the election, a mysterious French trader raked in a whopping $85 million in profits on Trump bets, more than $50 million more than previously reported. 1 week after or before the election, a Fortune report said analysts at two crypto research firms found widespread evidence of wash trading on Polymarket, an illegal form of market manipulation in which a trader buys and sells the same entity to create a false impression of market activity. Quote, Polymarket's terms of use expressly prohibit market manipulation. The betting platform is facing scrutiny from France's gambling regulator, and I'm not going to try to say this French name, to make sure Polymarket complies with the country's laws. We are aware of this site and are currently examining its operation and compliance with French gambling legislation. And then Polymarket has declined to comment. But I did want to look on X. I want to look on X and see if we can get a idea of what's going on here, because I did read that the Polymarket CEO was a donor to Kamala Harris. Here we go, right here. Biden Harris FBI sees. No, that's not it. Maybe that was disinformation that I read. I'm pretty sure it came from a pretty big account, but I'm not seeing it up here. Let me look his name with Kamala Harris, maybe. Or I could probably do Kamala donor. Let me do Kamala donor. So looking here. Okay, maybe that's not true. I'm pretty sure I read that. But what do you guys think about this? Is Kamala Harris's FBI, the Biden-Harris DOJ, what are they doing here? They're going after the CEO of Polymarket, a betting site, who accurately predicted the election. I mean, it was like dead on. I mean, and it's very interesting how it deviated from any of these polls that you would read that would have Donald Trump up, then Kamala Harris up. And remember that one poll by Ann Seltzer in Iowa that showed Kamala Harris up by 7 points, and everyone was like, "There's no way that is anywhere close to accurate." And I think the FBI should shift their gaze maybe to the pollsters, because I think it's the pollsters who are the actual scammers. I agree with Donald Trump on this one, because these pollsters, they seem to get it wrong pretty substantially every single election, especially since Trump ran in 2016. It's almost like they have an agenda. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.